response video versus regarding this G1981 guy. Made a response video. I'll play parts of his clips, I guess, and then some of it I'll just respond to it after I play it or whatever, something like that. Anyway, the first segment he played me talking about the fact that it's sort of a fixed race. If you let the rich kids give them free control, they don't earn it. It's a terrible cheat in the race of life, the most important race in the world, the most important Olympics in the world. And yeah, we give out the gold medals for people who don't have to earn it, and that seems really, really stupid. His response is,
there are two problems with this. The first one, Shitty Fag already pointed out, is that fairness is not necessarily possible to achieve, even if everybody...
Yeah, this is just such the same old jargon, so you really are a truther or something, right? So when somebody argues for something, you just say, oh, nature's not fair. The world isn't fair. So that means you can't make anything any better, right? So you can't point out unfairness that's glaring. Just like you couldn't point out dysfunctionality that's glaring. So you have a car and your wheels are wobbling like this. Your brakes don't work. The engine's spilling gasoline onto the road. And you couldn't figure out that, oh, I can fix that. I can make that run a lot better than that. Okay? Yeah, you're not going to make the car perfect. You're just going to take care of the glaring dysfunctionality. So again, you've just taken a simple concept where you point out a glaring flaw, that's easily rectified, and yet you're going to say, no, because it's not perfect, it's not a good enough solution, the end. I mean, that's just stupid, because it's not absolutely fair. It's not about absolute fairness, it's about obvious unfairness. But yeah, ignore that truth, and just talk your rhetoric, the same old truther bullshit.
But it starts at the same mark when you have somebody like Usain Bolt running against somebody like Stephen Hawking, who, has no legs and shit. It's not going to be fair, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's point number one.
Well, there's lots you can do about it, okay? I mean, we've done it. Some of it we go too far, in my opinion, but we obviously have made efforts to create something paralleling fairness for people with certain limitations. We say, well, let's just make doors wider, and we'll make ramps so people can access buildings, and we'll do different other things to try to complement the idea of achieving something better. And that's all it's about. It's just getting rid of the flaws, the errors, the broken. All right? It's not that complicated, but of course we can't have a rational discussion about improving a system. No, it always has to be, I'm going to cop out and say because it isn't perfect, it isn't good enough. Oh, bullshit. That's not the argument. This is just like arguing with some kind of religious nut. Oh, if there's not a God in the story, I can't believe it.
Point number two is, you're not Charlie Sheen, so who said that life is all about winning? So maybe you're not going to win. So what?
It's not about that. It's about the fact that there's no point in having a system that you're going to call a system, something that's going to be functional, that's actually going to produce something. The idea is to maximize human potential. The idea is to put incentive carrots. You have this 100 carrots, and you have 100 horses, and you're going to try to get as most work as you can out of the horses and have the most horses comfortable, satisfied, healthy. All of these equations are going to be important. Okay, so you're looking for some long-term, most productive way to utilize your 100 carrots in front of those 100 horses. That's the sort of the scenario. And the way you don't do that is to find the two laziest, fucking feeblest, most fucking depraved, stupid, idiotic, moronic horses and give them all the fucking carrots. That's exactly, probably, you couldn't do it a dumber way than that. And that's how we've done our economics, you asshole, because we've decided, oh, it depends on what vagina it falls out of. We'll give it a carrot based on what vagina it falls out of. That's fucking stupid.
Do you think it is possible for everybody to win? No. But
yeah, it's called fair economics. It's about a fair fight. All right, so we have to have the stupid fight because all you assholes are too immature to have some kind of thing called civilization voluntarily. That's right, we have to do it by some little competitive nonsense, and we have to have these fake incentives to go to work, and we have to have personal initiatives because we're all selfish assholes because we can't grow above all that kind of crap. And the point is to create a mechanism that does that fairly as is practical. Not as fairly as possible, just fair as practical. What kind of simple, easy changes can we make to the system to make it more fair? That's the equation, and the answer is slam dunk, okay? Rewarding people for what vagina they fall out of is really, 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 really fucking stupid.
Definition, everybody but one person is going to lose, and it doesn't matter what the rules of the game are, or if anybody has a chance.
Oh, yeah, every game is the same game. So if you're playing Monopoly with 4 other people, it's the same as being thrown into the pit with the gladiator where you're going to fight for a life and death struggle. So every game is the same. The rules are all the same. You can't use your fucking brain just a little fucking tiny bit and figure out that, no, every game is different. Every game can be arranged in a way where you minimize the losses and maximize the gains. Yes, everybody can't win in the competition, but in some sense, maybe they can. Maybe the competition can be about improving each other's skills. Maybe it can be a competition where you're a juggler and you're juggling with another guy and you're throwing things back and forth at each other. And through that competition, like who can do it the longest without making a mistake, through that competition, you make each other both better at what you're doing. Yeah, so yeah, 2 winners, asshole.
Still, everybody's going to lose except one person, no matter what. So you just have to get past this winning mindset and you'll be fine. And as far as no motivation...
Oh, it's just kind of silly. Yeah, I have to get past it. No, I'm not the one that has to get past it, asshole. The fucking civilizations we're living in have to get past it. All right? The people living in these civilizations have to get past it. And if you're going to have some kind of delusion that people don't feed off of competition, then you're a fucking idiot. It's a practical fact. That's the way people want to live. That's what they have to live for. They have to live for their fucking ego bullshit. All right? And that's just the way the fucking thing is, so you have to accommodate that. And that's all I'm doing, stupid fuck. All right, be back. Continuing.
No, that's not true. Let's say I don't think I'm ever going to be, CEO of Goldman Sachs or President of the United States. That doesn't mean I have no motivation to live. In fact, I never wanted to be CEO of Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, well, that's not my argument either. My argument, again, I made the argument, okay? Hard days work for honest days pay kind of thing and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, all people need is a fair contract, and they're not going to get a fair contract from a bunch of exploitinous rich motherfuckers who are taking 80% of the pie and basically extorting the deprivation that exists in the population to drive their wages down. So their life really doesn't mean much because it's just all work, no pay, no lifestyle, no nothing. So why would they get into that contract voluntarily? No, you can only do it through extortion, period.
And, yeah.
It's got to be earned. Okay, we'll just move on. All right, now on the argument of the making sense to earn it kind of thing, that people shouldn't be allowed to inherit PhDs, they shouldn't be allowed to inherit control of our economy. His response is...
No, that's just bullshit. It's not that we don't allow a transfer of PhD, it's just that PhD, it's not something that can be transferred. It's a property of a person. You cannot gift somebody your blue eyes if somebody or your white skin.
Oh, well, what do you think people do when they have babies, idiot? You think there's no such thing as genetics? Of course. Where do you think I got my blue eyes, butthead? All right, I inherited them, jackass.
Let's say you have a friend who is black and you want, you're such a nice person, you want to gift him your white skin, well, you can't do it.
Oh, again, just, yeah, okay, take perfectly rational social policy and turn it into some kind of bizarre, idiotic, perfect world kind of nonsense where we could just all decide what we just press a button. I'm a PhD. Press a button. I'm white. Press a button. I'm 7 feet tall. Yeah, we know it doesn't work that way, asshole. But the point is because Mark McGwire was a great home run hitter, you don't let his kid automatically play baseball, professional baseball. No, you oblige him to pass a test. You oblige him to meet the standard of what a professional baseball player is. He doesn't get to inherit the title. He doesn't get to inherit the control. We're talking about control of the most important thing in the world, the economy, the ownership of that economy, controlling how those resources are spent. Why the fuck should that be handed to people based on what vagina they fell out of? I'm sorry, you're just too fucking stupid for words.
That's because the government doesn't allow it, or somebody doesn't allow it. It's just not possible. On the other hand, you can gift him money, and that's what inheritance is. It's a gift, and it doesn't have to be a gift.
It's a cheat, asshole. It's that simple. It's a cheat, all right? When it's in any kind of bulk, all right? We're talking about real inheritance. We're not talking, look, you want to keep anything under $1 million per person or $10 million per estate? Fine. All right, you can give people a huge, giant cheat, give them the best education, give them all the benefits and all the rest of that crap. All right, we're just talking about the ownership titles. We're talking about the legacy ownership, you asshole. That's the simple fucking argument, and you're ignoring the simple fucking argument because, yeah, obviously you're a truther nutball fucking kook, period.
Gift to your children. Well, inheritance is a gift to your children, but if you have money, you can give it to somebody else. Most people obviously choose to give it to their children, but not everybody. For example, recently Amar Bowles donated essentially, and he's a billionaire, donated essentially everything to MIT University. So, and he is a self-made billionaire.
Yeah, right. And MIT will decide to only let people in. You know, you automatically get an in. If your father went to MIT, then you get the cheat to go to MIT. So, yeah, that's a whole nother privileged institution, another part of the, not about the people, not about earning it, not about, any kind of standard of fairness. No, let's just play the cheat game, okay? And the point really isn't about the fact that some rich people, some tiny percentage of rich people, actually filter their money back into something socially good. Brav the fucko. The point is 98% of that money doesn't get filtered back into something good. It doesn't get filtered back into Hoover Dams or constructive labor or productive labor. No, it gets filtered in the pockets of complete assholes who buy Lamborghinis and buy a bunch of other estates and property, make everybody else's rents go higher, make the property values go higher, make everybody else has to compete with their spending, okay? Make your apples more expensive and your oranges more expensive and everything else you buy more expensive because they fucking goddamn can, force prices higher, asshole.
No, you don't think that such a thing can exist, that you can only inherit money, but no, this was some poor schmuck from India who was an electrical engineer like me, and he was obviously better than I am because he became a billionaire, and then he just gave all his...
Oh, yeah, right. And also what he did to become a billionaire, right, is he had friends. So if you had friends, right, you knew a couple of guys that were really smart. You know how you become a billionaire? Well, what you basically do is snooker your friends to help you build something, okay? And then you pay them off with like 40 or 50 or 60 or even $100,000, and you sell what they produced for you for $2 million. All right, that's how you become a billionaire. You only become a billionaire because you underpay other people for their labor, their work, their productivity, and you reap a huge profit from what they helped you make. Okay, that's the only way you become a billionaire. So you're just saying you would be an asshole. Okay, fine, you're an asshole. Fuck you.
Money to the university he went to, and you would probably say that that's preposterous. They didn't deserve it. He made all this money. So he shouldn't be allowed to give it to anybody else.
We don't need... yeah, well, whatever. Again, you want to think that that's how you can run a civilization. And that's not how you run a civilization. That's how you run a monarchy. That's how you just consolidate wealth in the hands of people who don't earn it, okay? You can keep bringing up examples of the people who did earn it, but that's a tiny, tiny percentage of ownership in the world, asshole. Most of the ownership is in the hands of people who never did a day's work in their fucking life. They didn't invent the wheel. They didn't invent the microprocessor. They didn't do anything brilliant. No, they're just living off of somebody else's labor. And it might have been 200-year-old money, okay, that was made on the backs of slaves, you fucker. But yeah, ignore that reality and keep pretending it has something to do with some Indian guy. Alright, so now he just played a little clip where I said the rich don't serve any real function. That's all he played. Okay, yeah, but the point is they don't do anything in the economy. They don't do any labor. They don't do any innovating. They just do a lot of wasted consumption. They build pyramids, little tiny pyramids in their yards. And if you add up all those fucking pyramids, they're bigger than the great pyramids of Giza. They're just a huge monument to fucking waste.
We also don't need blacks, Mexicans, old people, poor people, and...
Oh, well, that's classy. That's really, really fucking classy. So you're a bigot and a racist on top, huh? Is that what it is? How exactly don't we need people who work? People who work, asshole. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the workers, jackass. The people who actually make something, do something. All right? That's what we're talking about. So you want to malign them and just use your little racial crap? Yeah, so you're a fucking racist bigot. So, well, you'll be blocked after this video, fucker.
Ugly women. So what? Are we going to kill them all?
A business is a... Yeah, where was that in the argument? Where was killing anybody in the argument? But, you know, theoretically, okay, the French had a nice big revolution and they killed a lot of rich fuckers. Yeah, because they had a lot of pain and suffering imposed by these elitist motherfuckers. These useless elitist motherfuckers. Alright, this part I make the simple point that it's really not brain surgery to run a company. You hire a guy to be the CEO, he hires managers, he hires workers. There. Not that complicated. We don't need the owners.
Oh, that's how? Because you're a successful businessman?
Oh, apparently I have to be a successful businessman to understand how a business runs, right? So you could go to like college for 8 years, business school. You could go to 8 years. You could do it in 4 years and do extra 4 years. You could read every book ever written on economics, but you're not qualified to own your own business. You don't know how businesses run. You don't know anything about how the world works. No, unless you actually went out there, unless you eat an elephant, you don't know an elephant.
Stopping you from doing what they do. You don't have enough starting capital. Does every business have to be Google? You cannot start a small business? I know.
Well, guess what? Google was a small business. Google was started in a university, Stanford University, asshole. So some of that was actually public money. And what did we get for it? Oh, that's right. We got a big, giant marketing conglomerate who basically just shystered everybody, okay? They give it away for free, drive everybody else out of... Typical capitalist example, asshole. So you shouldn't even brought up Google because it just proves where your Austrian crap fails dismally, okay? Where it does absolutely nothing, all right, to stop this from happening. So I could own a flower shop in this town. All right, and one of them little Google son of a bitches moves into town, okay, and his wife decides she wants to have a flower shop. So I could have a business for 10 years. I'm making a decent living selling flowers. And all of a sudden this little Google slut bitch shows up and decides she's going to sell flowers. And so, yeah, she can lose money for 7,682 years without even having to ask hubby for another check. I mean, she's probably got spending change, quarters just laying around under the couch and shit, okay, where she could drive me out of the business 7,000 times. She doesn't have to make a profit. She doesn't have any of the same expenses that I have and liabilities that I have. And so I'm done. I'm out of luck. I'm out of life, okay, because some bitch has money to burn.
Some people who had businesses and failed, and it had nothing to do with paying interest on some huge debt, just because they either got screwed by their partner or by somebody else, or they
or by somebody else, exactly. William Randolph Hearst inherits $100 million and basically says, I can lose $1 million for 100 years. That was his philosophy. Okay, his business philosophy. I can lose $1 million for 100 years. That's how he looked at it. So he drove every other business out of business because he could afford to lose money for fucking 7 years. All right, but once everybody else was out of business, then he could just clean the fuck up.
What the fuck they were doing? So if business is that simple, show me the money.
Why would I do that? I've just explained to you the only way you can make money, the only way you're going to be a greedy whore of surplus, Okay, what is surplus? So surplus is basically the power to incentivize somebody else to work or to incentivize or to allow them to live. That's what money is. If I was a money whore, okay, which is a businessman, I'd have to have their fucking ethics, asshole. So yeah, no, I've never lived my life attempting to be that kind of asshole. I knew right from the start I would never be that kind of asshole because I couldn't sit on a big pile of money. Because I know what it's made out of. It's made out of people's blood. It's made out of their fucking sweat, and it's made out of their goddamn fucking time. And me fucking hoarding it would be an obscenity. But you're a fucking asshole, so how would you know that? Alright, so this part I made the point that, a not-for-profit business is going to be inherently more productive because it's not going to have all these stupid logistical expenses. It's not going to have this whole hierarchy that wants $10 million salaries, and it's not going to have all these owners saying, where's my profit, where's my dividend, where's my dividend?
The sudden profitability of a business is somehow a function of the percentage that they're paying on their debt. So is that why General Motors is bankrupt and Porsche is making a profit? Let's say Porsche is probably making up to about $100,000 per car on certain models of profit. Because
yeah, and has it always done that? Has Porsche never had some lean years? And let's not even talk about General Motors. What destroyed General Motors was this huge legacy burden of pensions. Okay, if they didn't have the pension problem, General Motors would have been perfectly solvent as a company. They were making plenty of money on their cars. It's just that there's no way they could pay that old debt.
They're selling cars for $200,000, which cost about the same to build as GM cars, which they cannot sell for, $10,000. When GM cannot even make $3,000 profit on a car when they're doing good.
And why are you even comparing $200,000 cars to $10,000 cars? Why are you even comparing a company that produces 2 million cars to a company that produces, 50,000 cars? What the fuck is that? It doesn't sound like a rational comparison, douchebag.
You think that has something to do with interest rates or something? No, I don't think so.
No, I think it has to do with... Look, again, you're comparing Apple to an Apple in the sense that the two companies are, privately held, publicly owned, stockholder held, regular capitalist companies. You're not comparing a public library to a bookstore. You're not comparing... an appropriate comparison. What's the fucking point? Where have I defended General Motors anyway? So this whole thing is just ludicrous. How is this relevant to the fucking argument? And on top of that, these two Apples are obviously Granny Smith and Pee Wee Herman or something. They're not even comparable, all right? Because they're producing to different markets, you stupid shit.
I think it has something to do with the fact that Porsche knows how to build cars and GM does not. And of course,
well, that just proves how ignorant you are, right? They're producing cars for completely different markets, and you're going to compare them. Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense.
Add insult to injury. Porsche is a dynasty. It's a family business going back generations, building cars since before Hitler. So according to your logic, since these people were, not a meritocracy, just inherited.
Again, how many Porsches do they build a year, asshole? What does it have to do anything with the real economy? It's a fucking yacht building company. Oh, there's a 500-year-old yacht building company. Well, no fucking surprise.
The business, they should have not been doing as well as some other business which has been around for a similarly long time, like GM, but it's not family owned and operated, where people actually get their jobs based on their performance, not on genetics. GM should be kicking Porsche's ass, but that...
Oh, again, this is just so stupid. Why don't you make a comparison between Porsche and Mercedes, or Porsche and Rolls-Royce or something? I mean, this is just stupid. These are not companies in even anything close to the same business. GM's competing with Ford and Chrysler and all these other... Look at all the companies that didn't make it, that GM beat, that they outcompeted, that they drove out of business. So, and everything's based on a time in history. So, like I said, again, you're just going to argue that, oh, yeah, Porsche was around before Hitler. All right? Yeah, making what kind of car? How many cars for what kind of people?
It's just simply not the case.
It's irrational to give up. So, whatever. We see where your leanings are. I mean, if you're going to start defending luxury cars, like the world needs that's going to solve some kind of human problem. In a world of 7 billion people, where there's like 17 cars per 100 people on Earth, you're going to talk about fucking Porsches. Fuck you. Alright, so then I made the point that, and it really just pisses me off, because you really didn't address the goddamn point. The point is, a not-for-profit business has inherent efficiencies. Inherent, intrinsic. Is Porsche doing something different than the Porsche family? Mr. and Mr. Porsche. Are they doing something different than hiring a CEO and then having the CEO hire managers? Are they doing something different than that asshole? No, I don't think so, you fucking dimwit. Alright, so then I just made the point that, what did I make? Well, whatever I made. I just made the final point that, fuck the rich.
Our liability is because of your friend, the government, because...
Yeah, my friend, the government. That's right. I elected it. I control it. No, the people do it, okay? Assholes like you vote for these fucking asshole fucking Republican cunt bastard greedy scumbags. All right, and that's why the whole fucking everything has to the whole politics, instead of being progressive and rational, turns fucktarded and Christian, because you assholes give aid and comfort to those greedy motherfuckers because you're too fucking stupid.
These people who inherit the companies which they bankrupt, they have no means of extracting anything out of us. It's only the government that can do it.
Yeah, well, guess what? We elected the government, okay? We voted to have our taxes cut and not pay our bills and borrow the money. All right, so the debt is ours. We've acquired it. All the public debt, the public has bought the credit cards. The public has mortgages on their houses. All right, nobody put a gun to their head if you want to make that kind of stupid argument. But obviously they were extorted into doing it because everything was devalued, because the price of their house was inflated preposterously because a bunch of rich fucking cunts, all right, are competing with them for the purchase. All the property values are hugely inflated because a bunch of rich people hold it as part of their assets, as part of their extra silos of surplus, as part of their claims of ownership. They drive all of these fucking commodities, they drive all these prices way the fuck up, like oil. They buy barrels and barrels of oil. All right, they just keep driving the prices up because that's what they do with their fucking money, you dumb shit. Their dumb claims of ownership, you stupid fucking cunt.
Government does it when it bails those failures out. Instead of bitching about how those people always steal our money, you should be complaining about how the government enables it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. How does the government enable it? This is one of the biggest canards of you assholes, is this whole idea that somehow the government enabled it. No, if I remember, the government sued Microsoft. As I remember it, the government broke up AT&T. As I see it, the only thing that fights these goddamn businesses ever is the fucking government. It's the only thing we have. It's the only weapon we have against these motherfuckers, you stupid shit. Fancy lifestyle they're living is not... Okay, I'll cut it here. Alright, now I made the point about how the rich are just basically, they're not producing anything. They're consuming preposterous. They're just building pyramids with your blood. Alright, that was the end phrase.
Anybody who has more than he can possibly survive on is building pyramids with my blood.
It's not about just having more, okay? It's not about the very waste of having a silo of wheat, let's say, in a world where people are starving, where if you take that wheat and gave it to the starving people, they could build canals, do productive work, create infrastructure, make their lives better. But because you're hoarding it, because you're keeping it out of the system, because you're locking it away, that you're degrading that potential. And the same thing happens again. If you have a claim of ownership and you're requiring an interest payment, essentially a profit on your ownership, okay, so you'll buy property because it'll keep it inflating in value. And well, it has to keep inflating because you have a claim on that property. And that's where this whole thing degrades. And so you destroy productivity. So you have this tiny amount of people who own this who do absolutely nothing productive, do a huge amount of consuming, and they don't just hoard wheat silos, they burn them. They'll just burn them. They have $1 million birthday party, which is just burning fucking work. It's just wasting work, wasted work. You know, manicure the lawn, paint the house, do this, do all this bullshit, all this work that could have been building something productive, a Hoover Dam, but instead it's just wasted on the luxuries of a motherfucking prick.
For example, if my neighbor is a doctor and he drives a car with 6 cylinders instead of 4, well, those 2 extra cylinders could have been used to build a Hoover Dam, and all he's doing with his 2 extra cylinders is burning up our resource, the oil, which we all need. So the blend's gonna run out. We're all gonna be in trouble. So he's a criminal. Nobody should be allowed to have more than 1 cylinder, because every cylinder beyond 1.
Yeah, so way to take something that's dramatically, why don't you just compare cancer to a hangnail? I mean, yeah, why don't you just make a preposterous comparison that has absolutely nothing to do with anything real at all, okay? But the bottom line is waste is waste, all right? And the doctor could probably get by on 4 cylinders, and it would probably be better to incentivize or create a system that gave him incentive, all right? Real personal, productive incentive to go small rather than go too large. Better too small than too large. Better less waste. If you can manufacture, you can engineer a system that creates less waste, that's the way to go, asshole. And that's the fucking point of my video. But you're too stupid to figure that out.
It's just building pyramids with our blood. Where do you draw the line? How much?
Look, I don't have to draw lines. All I have to do is draw a parameter. Yeah, there's stupid things and there's smart things. It's stupid to judge people based on what vagina they fell out of. That is stupid. You put that in the stupid category. You don't give people the rights and privileges of elitism or superiority or merit, okay, until they earn it. All right? You have a qualifying standard. You give people a test before you allow them to be a doctor. Not that complicated. So yeah, you can engineer little stupid systems, little stupid bits of stuff that'll draw that line for you. All right, and you just place it somewhere in the range, and that's all it has to be in. I mean, you can really tell the difference between smart and profoundly stupid.
It's excess. There are people all over the world who live on something like $25 a day, and we are living here on something like $200 a day, and we're complaining, oh no, we are so poor, somebody else.
Well, we know that those comparisons are relative, and we know that what the difference is. The difference is if you're spending 25% of your income on food, or 10% of your income on food, or 5% of your income on food. If you're spending 50% of your income on climate control, air conditioning or heating, or 10% or 5%. Those are the numbers that matter. Is what percentage of that income is getting eaten by some basic necessity. And we know that $2 a day that a third of the world is living on, or at least a quarter of the world is living on. We know that they're not getting much more than just a day's meal for that $2.
Is living on 200 millions a day, and we only can live on $200 a day. But there are some people who don't even have $1 a day. So obviously we could survive on that as well. So out of the $200 a day that we spend, $199 is excess and building pyramids with blood.
Yeah, and so where would I be arguing that somehow we shouldn't try to elevate the entire human population to some sort of fair economic system that will, incentivize and give reason for those people to also become civilized and become part of the real world. All right? It's only because the exploitnists won't invest in those people because, yeah, their living conditions are too harsh and their health care would cost too much. And there's too many liabilities because of there's a mosquito problem or some other problem. So they won't invest in those people. They just leave them there to die.
Right.
We don't need owners. All right, that's we don't need owners. We don't need to pay interest, and he's saying the owners have nothing. So here we go. Listen to this.
To do with the interest.
Yeah, the owners don't have anything to do with interest. So that's what this idiot believes. He believes that somehow the owners aren't forcing or obliging or extorting and conniving businesses to pay them a benefit. All right? Their silo gets to grow. It must grow. All right? They have a silo of wheat. Their expectation is that next year they have a silo plus 10% or plus 25%. They're only going to invest in things that are going to make their silo grow. And that interest has to come out of something. And the only thing it can come out of is human productivity. That means the workers have to get paid less and produce more so it can go into their silos. That's the facts of life, asshole.
It exists for two reasons. To account for the possibility of default and to account for the expansion of the money supply. Now, the money
we already talked about default, didn't we? And the fact that that doesn't fucking exist, right? I mean, all you can lose is your investment capital, but you don't have to take responsibility for the real debt or the real liabilities. Those are all fucking end up on the consumer's fucking plate. That ends up being the cost of doing business, so to speak. All right, that will have this bankruptcy liability hanging out there. So you fail on that argument, and the fact of the matter is that that's where the bulk of the profits are going to people on just the ownership alone. We're not paying people to do work; we're paying people to own, and we're taxing them less. We're taxing the income made off of interest ownership is taxed twice half the rate that we tax the income made from doing fucking work. Yeah, obviously that won't work in the long run. That's going to be fail all over the fucking place. Because of you fucking cunt goddamn capitalist motherfucking greedy shit fucks.
Supplies being expended by your friend the government. In the truth.
Again, it's not my friend. I'm the one talking about how we should reform the government, asshole.
Free market, that wouldn't happen, so that's where some of the interest is coming from. Nothing to do with the owners. It's your government printing money. That's...
Oh, fuck you. I mean, that's just so fucking stupid. The government doesn't print the money in the first place. The people vote for it, asshole. So unravel that fact and truth. All right? If some guy shows up and says, yeah, well, I'm going to cut your taxes, and I'm not going to cut spending, well, then you've got to know what's coming, asswipe. God, you're just fucking so fucking stupid.
Part of it. But even if the money was not printed, there would still have to be interest to account for the possibility of default. If you loan out...
Yeah, again, we don't have default, asshole. All right, we have a big fucking escape for all of that downside risk. A big giant chunk of the downside risk we get to write the fuck off through bankruptcy. So let's not play that game. And the second point I would make to that argument is there's not even a close connection between that actual risk and the amount of interest being paid out. All right, so you're paying people much, much more in interest than is the real liability of loss. All right, especially when these things are all diversified over time. We know you bought the stock market in 1930. Guess what? Yeah, you didn't lose. You win, okay, over time. You're inevitably going to win at a higher rate than inflation. And that's what creates the inflation in the first place, is the fact that all these people are claiming, give me some more IOUs. Well, you can't give them more IOUs without devaluing something, and eventually you're going to devalue the currency. Because eventually they're going to have to print the currency to pay off all those fucking IOUs, you dumb shit.
The money to 100 people and 10 of them default and don't pay back, well, you better have 10% interest to cover your losses. And
see, you can't even do any kind of rational math. Okay, 10% interest. You don't need interest that high. You need 1%, idiot.
Where's that gonna come from? In your system. You're just not dealing with reality there.
Yeah, I am dealing with reality, and the point is I never claimed that the government would run the system, let's call it, or whatever you want to call it, with the expectation that it wouldn't have to cover expenses. All right, yeah, it should cover expenses. So if it creates essentially a federal bank, the federal bank would loan money at the cost of loaning money. So yes, it would just incorporate into the system the idea that it pays out this much money, it gets back this much money. We know what percentage, like any insurance company. All right, they just put it into a little table. It's all mathematical and logical, and they can figure out it pretty accurately what it's going to cost them to do business. And then if you have a not-for-profit, all it does is say, okay, we just have to get this much money back. And that's the interest rate. And so the interest rate is going to be 1%. It's not going to be 10% or loan shark 15% or any of that kind of crap if you have a rational system.
Oh.
And again, I think in a rational system, nobody needs to borrow money because they can earn it. I'd rather have a system where people can earn money easily and not have to borrow money ever. So fuck you. God, I hate your fucking guts. You are the menace of the human race. You fucking whores for the rich. You fucking wide-anused motherfuckers who just have a love for rich man cock. Fuck you. God, I wish there would be a revolution. My pitchfork is ready. God, I hate you people. Hate you, hate you, hate you. So fuck you. I really don't want to talk to you anymore. You fucking idiot. Oh. My connection has failed. I have to fix that. Cunt company. Anyway, enough said. I don't think I'll do the other guy's video. Yeah, this was enough. Fucking goddamn whores for the rich. Fuck the whores for the rich.